Okay, so this is my first live stream in a while. But this is I'm gonna do as mentioned, I'm gonna do a game jam for mentioned in the description. I'm gonna do a game jam for work. Um, well, not for work, but related to work. Um, the theme that was announced today, 5 hours ago, was um, let me zoom in a little bit. Was 0 days since last accident. And I've thought about this a bit. It does seem it's one of the less abstract themes, and that makes it frankly not the best theme, but it means just it's harder to stay within the theme because there's fewer interpretations of it. The way I've interpreted it so far is either you, the player, are doing something dangerous in kind of a work capacity, or you are doing dangerous things to other people. um, and something I do that kicked around with like maybe you're mixing chemicals and they, it's a puzzle game wherein they blow up if you do it incorrectly, or just any other kind of doing virtual construction things where it's incredibly error prone and people just uh, things they dropped on them a lot. Um, and just maybe kind of where the failure mode is kind of excessive, just a little bit of excessive violence. And I think it's just, I don't know. So where I've gone through a few different iterations of thinking, and what I've settled on is a kind of the Incredible Machine esque game, which if you're old, um, you will recognize. I think there's been some iterations on it more recently, but this is this very old game where you've got various bits of equipment and you create these kind of Rube Goldberg machines to um, uh, get like I'm not sure like how can you tell exactly what the goal is, but it's like it's like get the mouse to the cheese, and the mouse just happens to be like indestructible. But so how this applies to the current game is I think is kind of a similar side view perspective, but you're trying to get into this secret spoopy government facility, and you do this by laying kind of traps for people working at the facility. So for in the entranceway, maybe you start out outside the facility and there's a guard, and you have to set up a thing to lure the guard into a horrible demise. And so how do you do some set up some stuff that the game gives you in order to do that? And there's maybe like a couple different ways to do it. And as you get further and further, it gets more and more um, complex and arcane. And there's various different pieces of equipment you get, like you know lasers and chemicals and monsters and stuff like that. And some of those things like you get, and some of those things are environmental, and you have to kind of. And then the way this ties back to the theme is it's not you just you know directly killing the inhabitants of the facility. It's you're kind of luring them and trapping them, and they look like accidents, and they or incidents. Um, so there is a secondary theme, day and night, secondary restriction. I don't know. I'm having a little bit enough trouble with this already. I don't want to add an additional constraint, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Um, so what I'm kind of thinking for the first, so first of all, I'm thinking of calling the game like, um, I don't know. I mean, it's just a game jam. Like the Dark Machine, kind of a clear throwback to the genre, but also like if you're going deeper and deeper into the facility, you're unlocking, you know, new secrets and things you're not supposed to see. And a machine can be a reference to like the things that you're building. It can be a reference to like, you know, conspiracy theory machinations of what's going on in this kind of Area 51 place. Um, so that's kind of where I'm thinking. And my imagination for the first level is just something like, here's the background. There's there's the, you know, here's the horizon. Um, and uh, is there a trapezoid? No. What? Okay. Um, and here's a building. Sorry, I haven't actually used. Okay, close enough. So here's a building, and there's a little person in front of it. And there's like a turret up here. You know, this is a highly dangerous facility. I promise my actual art is slightly slightly better than this. Not much better, but I at least I don't try to do like freehand drawing with a mouse like this. Um, but the bit is this guard has like uh, a patrol route, and it sort of walks back and forth. And your goal is like, well, how can I cause unfortunate things to happen to this guy, to get, you know, to progress to the next level. And what I'm thinking is that you'll have kind of a like a bar down here in the bottom where you have stuff you can play out. I guess that second line's not necessary. But you have maybe I'm thinking like two things. There's like a button and there's a wire. The button is very like, you know, it's like a portal button. Something, I mean, it's going to be pretty obvious to the player. Maybe you can like camouflage, I don't know, whatever. Um, but this kind of button that you just kind of, you can step on or I suppose drop things on. And so and then the intent of the game is you then place this button, you know, here, and then you wire it to this thing so that drum roll as the character as the guy walks back and forth, when he steps on the button he gets um, massacred. And then mission accomplished, he can go on to the next level. And there might need to be, maybe not all of them are like, but the theme is 0 days since last accident. Like accidents have to happen, that is part of the game. I mean, they're not accidents to you, it's accidents to them. um, but you know, in theory you could have different objectives to be like, maybe you need to open a door first. Like this building here might have a door. I think the guard here is the objective. But further inside, maybe there's gonna be like security doors, and it's not enough to just, I don't know. I mean, maybe they're bio coded so that the doors will open. In any case, I'm just gonna focus on this first level, um, and we'll um, go from there. This is a cactus on the horizon, if you can tell. Okay, so clear as mud. If you're just joining, the game theme is 0 days since last accident, and this level is there's gonna be a guard walking back and forth, and if they trigger a button that you place that is connected to a turret, then you know the rest. Okay. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna I'm gonna instantiate or like instance a template that I had earlier. Normally you just kind of go into Godot and just create this, but I'm gonna say use this template and the dark machine. And so this is a template I made previously. It's a Godot template. Um, and it's kind of pre-wired up to support web exports and going to like a GitHub Pages thing so that you can browse it on, play it online. So right now, this is just kind of setup stuff. Right now, if you go here, okay, that's a bad example. So if you go here and you go to the dark machine, it's not gonna, it doesn't work. There's like the GitHub Pages part is not set up yet. So I think the only thing I actually need to do is go to the Pages section here and say, yes, I'd like to deploy from a branch. Please do. Oh, you know, I think I need to make a code change. Yeah, okay. So there's no branch yet. So the way this works is you there's a build running kind of automatically. That's part of the thing, and there's a couple different steps. Um, it goes like it does the build, and then it deploys to itch. I don't know if the itch part's going to work. It's not really supposed to because I haven't set it up yet. But the GitHub Pages part should work, and the way this works, part of the way this works is it creates a branch for GitHub Pages. Right, yeah. Oh, it failed. Oh no, the itch.io failed. Yeah. So that's fine. I'll comment that out in a bit. Um, and so now I can go to Pages here and say, oh, publish the GH Pages page, and hit save. And this creates another set of actions, which is the Pages build and deployment, which takes a minute. And then, okay, and you know, I'm not going to wait. It doesn't take too long. It takes like a minute. But that is the next step. That's the final step before the GitHub Pages thing should work. So I'm not going to be using Writer too much. Writer is a paid thing from JetBrains. It's for C#, and I normally do this stuff in C#, but because C# doesn't work with web very well, at least the Godot 4.2 version doesn't, I won't be doing that. I'll be doing GTScript in the editor. Okay, so you'll see now it loads. This is a placeholder game that I have in here. And we'll be removing that, obviously. But first, it's going to bother me if these deployments fail every single time. So the dark machine clone. Yep. Okay. So the one thing that's a little bit weird is about the you know, the way this kind of has to be set up is the game is actually nested inside this Git repository. It's not at the root. Let me just shrink myself again a little bit here. I don't need to be that big. And that means like I'm going to just delete the entire project here. Oh, so let's do one thing first. So we're going to turn off the itch deployment here. We can just say if this and false. And it's going to fail because there's like no API key and these other things need to be changed. I'm going to change export name to the dark machine. We're going to put the project in the dark machine folder. I know I capitalized this repository, but this is probably fine. Okay, and I'm still that one's fine. I'm going to leave this one on false. So let's say disable itch deployment now, and update Godot. There we go. and fires. Okay, and push. And okay, so great. So what happens now? So this is not strictly necessary, but I just like it so that I push a change and then it gets magically uploaded to you can play it online. Um, it's just kind of nice to have, and then you don't need to you can share every day, and you don't need to like manually upload things, and it's already working. It's not on itch yet because you have to like go create stuff over there, but which I will have to eventually. But in terms of like, is it working? You can go to the GitHub page. Okay, what was the next thing? Next thing, let's delete clicky clicker and um, technically also delete this stuff and the README. We do need external. So this external thing, there's some hacks you have to do to make Godot projects work on the web. It involves service workers and setting headers for like sandbox isolation. I don't really understand it all, but having the submodule here is actually required and used in the CI stuff. So we actually need those. So let's say remove template. Oh, okay, that's fair. So it's trying to CD into the directory that does not exist yet. Understandable. Um, remove template placeholder stuff. Okay, so we're not going to push this yet because it's just going to fail again for the same reason. But let's move on to Godot. So here we're going to finally create our new project. Where did we? So it's under some weird directory here. Writer projects. Copy path, absolute path. Blah blah blah. I hope this works. Okay. It's gonna be like that, huh? Okay, so the slashes are in the wrong direction. Okay. Select current folder. We're going to create a folder called the dark machine because that's what we told it was going to be called. Not confusing at all. I don't know, like I'm not going to be doing anything too advanced because we don't really have time anyway. But like fast rendering of simple scenes, it's going to be working, maybe this will work better on web. Sure. Okay, so 2D scene. And this is where it all begins. So I'm gonna call this. I like to call this game usually, and then we just create it under a directory called scenes. Um, Subdirectory levels. Eh, whatever. It's okay. So Godot 4.2. Well, before Godot 4.3, renames tend to corrupt the projects a bit sometimes. I think in 4.3 they're improving it a bit, but it's still possible to move stuff around. Oh, I kind of wanted to save that. Okay, so let's start with so in like first-person shooters, there's a concept of blockouts. First-person shooter development is a concept of blockouts, which is just like shaping the level, so you can see like where the entryways are and kind of what the shape is. I'm gonna kind of do that here, just to get things moving real quick. So the first thing I'm gonna do is like the ground, sprite 2D, and so I like to have just, if you have like a solid material, um, there's not, I wish there was a way to be like, look, I just want a solid color. There isn't really that, but what you can do is create a like a gradient of width one and set it to, um, just a single control point. And there you go. There's it's a gradient of width one. Whatever. It works. Um, so here, like, let's go for like a nice. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Let's click on the wrong part. A nice sandy color, like something like. I mean, it's a placeholder, but da-da. Okay. And there's your sand. Uh, or we can even, well, I don't want to get too. You could even make it an ingredient, but I want to use like an actual sand texture I find online for this. You could set like a blue background, but I think what I want to do is add a environment. I forget if this is 3D only or not. Of current camera 3D. Yeah, okay. Um, I might have to look up how to do this. I guess you could also set like there should be a camera. Well, do you if so unless if the screen isn't moving, I don't know if you actually need a camera. Let me think about this. So for canvas modulate, is that just the entire? Yeah, that's just everything. You know what? There's a better way to do this, I'm sure. But we're just gonna duplicate this and make our background. Okay, so first crazy thing about Godot, that's a common thing that you run into a lot. Why are both of these objects changing? I duplicated them. So the reason is it's a shallow copy, and this gradient is a resource that is shared between them. So you just undo a few times, and is that the right? Yeah. So you undo, um, and then you click make unique here, and that will. I don't know why the color was. I think the undo was broken for that. But now when you change it, okay. Uh, okay. I know what happened there too. Um, so this is in fact a nested resource. The gradient here is like, it's not the gradient that's being shared, it's the texture is being shared. So I shouldn't have duplicated made unique on the gradient, I should make unique on the texture. And you can actually do make unique recursive. So this way, the texture is unique and the gradient is unique, and these are now completely different from each other. Let's let's see if I'm right. Hey, okay. Yeah, so anytime you're duplicating something, or if you ever like go here and you do like copy, um, yeah, if you copy something over to something else, like it copies like a reference to it. It doesn't make like a recursive copy. So here, this is gonna be our background. You can see it's like clearly going outside of it, but because you know, you can see it's a little bit hard to see actually. Um, you can see this blue box here is where the camera is. There's kind of like there's an implied camera. Anyway, uh, let's see. So the size of this camera comes from the here project settings, um, and you can like have the game stretch. I forget which one of these I like better. I'll have to mess with that later. Initially, it'll just be like, here's, it has to be windowed. Um, okay, so here's that. Um, so let's start with, let's create some real quick art for our little guy. So like you know, it's fine. I I just don't like using Godot art for for everything. Um, so I'm just gonna like kind of time box myself to a few minutes. So let me, you know, spin up Steam real quick. I don't actually have a sprite installed, but it's very small, 7 MB. Okay, so a sprite is a pixel art editor that is itself in a pixel art style for some reason, which it's fine. I have conflicting thoughts about that, but it's fine. Okay, so start with like a little person, and um, there's all these palettes here. I like to use. I mean, I think these all correspond to like legacy systems, so they don't really, you know, matter too much. Um, I usually do this one, but I think I'll do. Well, let's do that one. AAP64. Okay, so all right. Um, so we're gonna have a little person, a little soldier facing to the right, and facing to the right because that's usually like the zero axis in a lot of engines is pointing, you know, 0 degrees rotation points to the right. So even if he's facing to the left, we can just draw him pointing to the right and rotate or flip. Normally there's a symmetry options. There we go. Um, this is this little army hat. And I don't know, it's camouflaged or something. It. You can kind of see it down here. Okay. Turn this back on. Uh, well, I don't, probably shouldn't pick like a skin tone. I don't know. So maybe let's just say he's like you know, got a kind of a ski mask on kind of a thing. Um, I don't know. It looks like blackface. I we'll, we'll figure this out. Um, and I'm gonna do um kind of like maybe that's too much. I'm gonna do like kind of faceless characters because I that will make me feel less bad about having them die horribly. Slash, it'll be funnier. Um, you know, so uh, this is again kind of placeholder. Well, okay, there's I can you know it's all placeholder. Right? Ta-da. Okay, proportions are amazing. Looks good. Why am I an artist instead of a programmer? Um, good question. So I saw he's like facing, well, facing like this way. So let's just like make the arms a little bit darker. I think arms come past the waist, right? And then like the pants are darker. And then we have some leather boots. I feel like legs get narrower at the bottom. Maybe like much narrower. Okay. Genius, looking great. And there's a little bit of okay, these are clown shoes. Okay. Great. This is, you know, being honest, if I'm being honest, this is actually better than I was expecting. So take that as you will. Uh, let's see. I like the little specks up here. It makes it seem a little bit like shadow. Um, I don't know. Let's have a couple of those on here. It looks a little bit diseased or something, but it's okay. Okay. All right. Cool. So it's not animated or anything, but this is fine. This is like, look, I put this together in 5 minutes. You know, so sue me if it doesn't look great. This is gonna be a pain to find every time. So let's head back over here. Go to this. Copy path, absolute path. Punch that in here, and so I know how to do this in Linux. How do I pin this? Pin favorite pin to quick access. Yes, please. Okay. Okay. So art, and I like to throw in the source files. So we just have like basic soldier, and you also so obviously Godot can't do anything with the nice sprite file, and this is it supports layers and animations and all these like things. So every you know editor has its own stuff. So I'm gonna do export spreadsheet, and then you do output JSON file. You can also, I mean, there's also, I don't know what to do with the JSON. So there's like a whole spreadsheet thing. Like this is clearly like not, there's only one image here, so I can just export. So now we remove that. And now if you go over here to art, you can see here's our soldier. Ta-da! Okay. So he's a little bit small. But that's fine. Let me fix this thing here. Background, which happens to be sky. Okay, so here's our soldier, and he's a bit small. So we want to make him bigger. Okay. So he is bigger. He's also blurrier. There's a way to change default texture. Textures? Default filter. Okay. Yeah. So you'll notice. So let me just kind of make him a little bit bigger for. So, okay. So normally when you make a small image bigger, you don't want to see every pixel. You don't want to be blurry, but I don't know, that's the default. So you can change this to nearest. Oh, it was instantaneous. Okay. So you can see the difference here. Linear is blurry and nearest is which it's the algorithm is like the nearest color, and that just you know, it doesn't try to amortize anything. I don't know about bitmaps. I mean, whatever. It's fine. Okay, moving on. This honestly might be too big, but we'll see. We're experimenting. Okay, so now if you hit play, okay, great. It's a dude. So first things first, we want him pointing the other way. Okay, done. Ship it. But we also want him to have a. So one of the things in the original sketch that is now gone is I want him to have like a physical presence so that he can like bump into his surroundings. So that's a physics body, and the way we're gonna do that is there's like, all right, I guess it doesn't. Okay, I was hoping I could search by this. So there's a rigid body, but if you make him a rigid body, okay, so okay, 1 second. So he doesn't know. So the rigid body is like physical characteristics, but doesn't know what shape you want. You can go to Soldier and click create collision polygon 2D, but Okay, can I zoom in a little bit here? No. Okay, well, it's a little bit hard to tell. Can I do? No. Um, but you can see it's actually like generating like a contour around the character. And you can see there's like a 1 pixel stagger there, and also like, oh yeah. See, if you turn off simplification and grow pixels, you can see it forms like an exact polygon outline around your character. Um, and you can do like, so I mean, but it's not really. I don't need all that. I mean, I know it would be kind of faster maybe to do it for me, but you can just kind of go ahead and create a collision shape of shape capsule, which is kind of like a humanoid shape. And capsules are nice because as you like hit stairs and stuff, you can, or slopes, you can go up them. So we just narrow down a little bit. Okay. So now this thing has a physical body. Um, uh, Size changes the rigid body 2D. What is it complaining about? Oh, okay. Yeah, you aren't like it's fine to scale. Okay, I see what's complaining about. Hello. You don't like it doesn't like scaling physics bodies. Just the math doesn't work out. Um, so uh, you can still scale the art instead, and you can see my collision shape is now way too small. And you don't scale the collision shape. You just get frustrated and recreate it. Okay, that okay. No, I want this handle. There we go. Okay, so here we are again, and now the fun part is, hey, okay, is now is gravity. That's not what we want. um, what we want is to have a physical presence, but for us to have control over it. So I'm going to change this type to um, character body 2D, which is normally for people for like the player character, but it's kind of equivalent to Unity's kinematic um, stuff. Uh, there's a kinematic body that is also kind of for players, but also for just it's kind of confusing and it's still just something that you want direct control over. So now if you run it, it doesn't move because it doesn't have a script. So here you can change it from grounded to floating. So floating is like, well, you can still have a character body. If you're looking like a top down, then like the gravity is into the screen. So you don't necessarily want them to like go downwards. Um, this still has you still want to have a notion of, walls and ceilings and stuff like that. Okay. So let's see. Let's work on the building real quick. So the building is going to be much bigger and much less symmetrical. Uh, I guess I can have it facing. This is very confusing in my mind, so I'm gonna like make it facing to the left, and then I'm gonna flip it. I always do that. It's confusing me that you can click load and then it doesn't close the window. I'm done loading it. What more do you want? Um, so a nice bluish gray. Draw a line. Okay. So it snaps at, I don't know what that is, 22-degree increments. 26. It's not exactly half of 45, but I think like the pixels don't work out very well. It's like over 2, down 1. Um, okay. Uh, Oops. Let's make this a bit bigger. Maybe it's easier if I start over here. Well, okay. This is too steep, but we're going for it. just kind of tighten up the corner over here. And then we have like, it would be fun. I was originally thinking the giant thing would be a door, but I think it'd be funnier if the door is actually like a little bit over here. Okay. I'm going to export this real quick to see like how ridiculous the proportions look. That doesn't look quite right. Okay, we're gonna call this base entrance, front entrance. And we're gonna spell it correctly. Control E. Okay, it's clearly small, but we're 2xing everything, so it's fine. Okay, here's the front entrance. And so just transform. Okay. So I'm thinking this door is a little bit small for the soldier. So I am kind of of the mind that like it would be okay if the soldier was in fact, oh, it's already 4. No, it's supposed to be 2x. Um okay. I was doing 4x as like an example. Like it's not supposed to be that big. Um this seems okay. I feel like this character is 2 meters tall and the building is, you know, 5 meters tall. It seems like there's gonna be a lot of like weird open space though, so I think I do want to like make it bigger. Okay, so this is 128 by 128. Let's actually do, well, obviously double. I was trying to think like I could resize this previous image, but then you'll have like very thick borders. But actually, no, I don't know. Okay. But I like the color. Let's stick with the color. We do want a pixel size of 2. We can also go all the way to the edge, get better use of the real estate. Go up like that. Can we just copy it? Paste as, yeah, okay. Makes sense. It's gonna look a little bit like a hanger, I think, but that's fine. Okay, looks good. The edges didn't line up, but you know, that's what erase tool is for. Okay, now we have the same thing here. It does look weird having like such a narrow edge, but maybe it's just a big building. Oh, you know what? I bet we're gonna need to make like a little like a road and a little house for this guy. But we can do that later. Okay, then we fill this, and we can fill this with a different shade of gray, with the same shade. Okay. So I'm gonna do. Oh wait. Okay. I'm gonna close this one. I'm going to overwrite it. Uh, hey, how do I like Godot? Um, it's fine. The one thing the one thing I will say is we haven't gotten to scripting yet. Um, I don't like GDScript. GDScript is the like kind of the default okay, like the default language for Godot, and it's meant to be like fun and accessible to beginners. Um, and it's Python like, and it's got some they added optional static typing, and it's fine. I'll be using it for the game jam, but they've really invested slash Microsoft has really invested a lot of time and effort and money into C# support. Maybe you did like I don't know if it's like a Unity thing or what, but it uh, it's just it's I really like having my real IDE like Writer or whatever JetBrains thing, versus like the in editor stuff. If you want to like refactor something, it's you just like copy paste, search replace. If you're using GDScript and you can't find usages is very it's very like 30 years ago in some ways. There's a little bit of autocomplete, and it but it that's kind of my biggest complaint. Maybe my second complaint is just the ecosystem is just a lot smaller. You can go on the Unity Asset Store and you can find anything. Sure, some of it might cost $50, but like if you are really trying to throw together something really quickly and you can blow $500 on your game development, you can save literally many hundreds of hours doing that. And Godot does have some assets, but it doesn't have a paid store, which means all the assets are going to be kind of on the smaller side, and it doesn't. The update system is kind of like once you install an asset, it kind of ejects, uh, and you have to like you don't know when there's updates to your assets. You kind of have to like go reinstall them periodically, and they have like nice integration here, but how do you discover things? You search by name or how recently updated it is. There's no popularity, there's no reviews. So like you kind of just you know Reddit, what is best plugins for Godot, and hope that there's something updated that was recent, in the last few months. But even how do those people figure things out? Like I don't know. You just kind of go through, and you can see there's plenty here. There's I think dozens of pages of stuff here, but it's just uh, it's a little bit designed more for it's probably fine for smaller projects, but if you're looking for like a big team thing, anything more than like 3 or 4 people, probably like you can make it work, but it's going to take you're going to spend more time reinventing the wheel. Okay. Um, thank you for asking. It's my kind of default engine for right now. Because a lot of things that you get from there's other things I'm talking about, you don't really need them. It's like you can install like a cool shader through the asset store or all these kind of things. Like you can kind of get by. They're kind of like polish features. Yeah. Um, okay. So um, let's make sure that this is kind of the size I want before moving on here. Overwrite. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Uh, yeah. Yeah. Um, sure. And I can always do like it might be I don't know how horrible it'd be. It looks kind of bad, like fractional pixels. All right. Sure. Um, okay. So let's continue the rest of this thing here. I think this is going to extend off the like. I'm not going to do the entire building. Um, let's just do. I mean, what I mean is like you won't be able to see the end of the building. It's just gonna go off the screen. That's fine. It's like an indeterminately long building. It's a feature. Okay. Da-da. Okay, looks like crap. Great. Um, let me darken this a little bit. And up here there might be like refrigeration units or like vents and stuff. Um, but other than that, like nondescript building is looking great. Okay, halfway there. Okay, so what else so what else is in the works? We need a turret, and I don't know if the turret's gonna like rotate and I mean, uh I could do that. Make it rotate. That might be fun to like make it kind of idle animate a bit. Um, but there also needs to be like the little sloth like man. I think you came in a little bit late. I'm trying to make like a okay. The short version is I want to make a game where it's like the Incredible Machine, where there's kind of some Rube Goldbergy kind of stuff that happens, except that instead of like the mouse is getting the cheese, it's gonna be like people die horribly. Because the theme is 0 days since last accident, so you're going to be causing a lot of air quotes accidents. um, so the plan here is like you place a button that you wire up to a turret that uh, when he when the guy randomly paces back and forth and steps on it, he gets things happen. Predictable things happen. So uh I don't know. I don't know if I'm like so he's gonna like wander back and forth here, and there's gonna be like a turret up here. Um, let's okay. Let's do some code. Let's have um, let's have this character move back and forth. Oh, okay. Sorry, too soon. So I said code. Um, those might actually be like just an animation. So one thing that there are a few things that Godot does really well. I mean, I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I mean the animation player is actually pretty good. So animation player, and when you bring up the animation player, it brings up a little panel down here at the bottom, and you can animate various attributes. So new, okay. They rewrote the animation player a bit in 4.3. I've been using the 4.3 beta, so this looks different than I'm used to, but it's fine. Let's start with default, and I'm gonna say default is nothing. Default is you know it's the animation you can switch back to if you want them to stand still. So I'm gonna create a new animation called walk left. So here you can create a track. I think it's just a property track. And you have, this is the parent object relative to the thing. And it should just be position. So the thing, because it's a character body 2D, you can just move it. Well, I don't know if that's most correct. Normally you like give it a velocity and then like move and slide. I wonder if I can, well, hold on. I mean, I could totally do this in code, but I think it'll be more fun and correct to do it this way. Um, character body. So we don't want the Boolean ones. Okay, none of these, see, you know what? We're doing position. So here, magically, it adds a bunch of these keyframe thingies over here on the side. So as long as you're in this animation view, and you have a thing selected, all these little keys show up, keyframe kind of things. So you click on soldier, and we're going to keyframe. I hope this is relative. We're going to keyframe this. And then we're going to move to, okay, this is not a 1 second animation. More seconds. Okay, I don't, that could be better. So here, now you like move this character over here, and you say, again, magic. Looks great. You can also, yeah. You can also use other keyframes for like changing sprites, stuff like that. And eventually we might want to have like just a little simple like left foot straight, right foot straight, left foot, you know, and I think that'd be a nice little polish thing. Um, uh, haven't gotten as far as the animator features when I've tried new projects. Yeah, it's one of the like I said, it's good. It's powerful. There are like a lot of random little features that are a little bit confusing if you don't know about them. Like this little thing here is autoplay on load. So like okay, if you say, hey, I created my animation here, and you play, nothing happens. So if you click here, and I think if you like, you can shoot, you can see your different animations here. You can see walk left. So now, um, oh, 3 seconds is a really long time. Um, you can see the character move because it's happening automatically. Okay, so we're gonna cut this down to 2 seconds and move our keyframe back here. There's other things here too. I actually don't know exactly what the update mode. Oh, I think this is like, is it a step function or not? Anyway, it was fine. There's also this. I think they tightened this up a little bit in 4.3. I mean, yeah. Okay. Um, so we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to have like a 3 second. I think like what we wanted to do is we want to pause for a couple seconds at the end. So what I'm going to do is just do this. And okay, well, this isn't going to look any different actually. So you have the 2 seconds, and then they pause, and then he turns around and goes the other direction. Makes sense. I could maybe do that as like one long animation, but I'm not gonna do that. Okay, so I don't 100% have a plan for a script. Okay, go away, the animation editor. That's weird. Um, so what I wanted to do is like it will just move to the left, way too set, run animation one, and as soon as it's done, run the second animation that I haven't created yet. So character body 2D has a special thing where it has its own template. Do not want that because it's like the player character. So here's GD script, and we're going to create a path in scripts. I'm just going to overuse the root directory here, and let's go. Okay, here we are. Here's our not Python language, which is GD script. So on start, we can, it might make things a little bit simpler to like not play this animation on start, but let's just kind of make sure it's working. So the way you wire, like we want to say, hey, animation player, play this animation. You can drag in the animation player here, and this is one of the really nice things about GDScript is like it will automatically kind of the editor integration is really nice. What this does here, the reason it's erroring, is because this is like a variable that refers to animation player and does a lookup every time. It says like find the child name animation player. Just like calling get component in Unity, it's kind of expensive. So what we want to do instead is hold down Control, and I'm curious if these other ones do anything. Other modifiers? No. So if you hold down Control when you do this, you can have a field that like, I mean, it kind of does what it looks like. It's an annotation that causes it to run, you know, when this node becomes initialized, when it's ready, but before the ready function. It's basically like code gen for like pre-ready, here, right here. It does the lookup once, and then, instead of every time you reference it, versus if you were to do this everywhere. Okay, so here we're gonna say. So okay, so let's see where we are. When you run it, nothing happens. So if you go animation player, there is autocomplete. It's not, too barbaric. We want to say play, and then it also autocompletes what your options are. You want to autoplay left, walk left, and there's a few other settings you can set. Ta-da! Okay, all done. Great. And what we want to say is animation player, like, there's events. These are called signals. There's got to be an event for finish, animation finished. And this is another thing. You have two choices here. You can either say connect. Maybe, well, I'm already writing it, so I guess that's what I'm doing. You can say once the animation is finished, call the animation finished method here, which doesn't exist yet. Like this. And you can say like, is it just print? Yeah. So now if you run it, and you look down here, you get an error message. Hooray. Okay. Method expected 0 arguments, but called with 1. Okay, fine. Does this say animation finished string, and it passes the anim name? Okay, fair enough. Oh, it's a string name actually. String name is kind of like a symbol in Ruby. It's like a unique identifier that is kind of baked into the code. Because the string name is like generated via the, this. It's not just a string, it's this string. And it's actually a big pain point in C# because it has to convert between strings and string names a lot. Okay, so, oh right, there's a 2-second delay. I was like, why is this taking so long? Okay, so looks good. And in fact, we can kind of do one more thing. I'm not sure you have to do stir. Let's just make sure that this is what we think it is. Okay. Yep. Makes sense. So what we want to do. Okay. There's actually a couple things I want to do. One is I don't want this soldier to move from position 900 to position 600. I want to move from position 0 to position -300. And I don't know. I don't know how to make it relative. Root motion. Um, well, I don't know everything. It autocompletes. I don't want a video. You need to move your sprite out of. Wait. this person is animating their sprite, but not the parent object. Hmm. Oh my god. Okay. That's kind of annoying. Well, so the short answer seems like you can't, but I don't believe that. I just think it's going to be painfully inconvenient. Um, I mean, okay, no. The game jam mentality is I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to like do it the right way. I'm going to say, look, this animation for the soldier only works on this page. And I'm just gonna live with it. Okay, so yeah, so here's this. I wonder if I can like duplicate, edit, uh, copy tracks. Well, I don't want to copy. Maybe I do. Copy track. I think this is why I fall back to pure code game engines. There's so much noise in the interface. Um, Kind of, yeah. I mean, I like the idea of like, oh, if you use visual scripting, it's so much quicker. I'm like, yeah, but I lose half the time trying to translate what I want into the actual format instead of just telling it like, here's the here's what I want to do in code. So one exception to that is visual shaders. I've done a bit of that, and being able to like visualize every step of the pipeline is legit amazing. But for the rest of the stuff, um, uh, what? I mean, I'm going to stick with the animation player for now. It's not that hard to switch. There is like first class support for tweens in Godot, and you can just tween the position from here to there. Um, but we're gonna keep trying on this. Duplicate. Why? Okay, thank you. Why? It wasn't until I'd already given up that I find it. Um, Walk right, and then we just want this node. So it's at 2 seconds. Please work. Okay, so walk left, we play, and looks good. Walk right. Okay, I mean jittery, but I don't think that's a real problem. Um, Looks good. We just need to reverse the direction. I don't think we need to. We can't tween this or anything. I just don't want to change that flip H. Like this is the funny thing to put in an animation player because like, well, you can't. I mean, I. Yeah, you can't continuously change the age because it's a boolean. Um, Funny that kind of lets you do that. Okay, so let's go. We want. Wait, it was sprite. So here we're flipping it off, and I think this little button means the values off. Okay, so now. Oh wait, this isn't going to do anything. Okay, no, we want this. Okay, so we have two animations. We have walk right, and of course, and we actually need to also. I think we can just, since the animation panel is open, I think I can just click. I don't know what reset tracks are. Okay, walk left, walk right. Okay, so you could have done this. I could have done this in one big script, or one big animation, but I was looking for an excuse to write code. I mean, I guess. So we're gonna say if anim name equals walk. That works, right? Okay. Um, then we're gonna play the other one. Walk right. Else. I mean, okay. No, with the software engineer side, there's no. The only other possibility is walk right. So we're gonna say walk left. I would normally get rid of this one. Oh, zooming your editor. Embiggen. Editor settings. Display scale 150%. 200%. Save and restart. Okay. How's that? Better? Okay. Okay. And it's not painfully large for me. I think more would probably be too much, but this is fine. I can also yeah, this is fine. Okay. Okay, so hmm, hey, okay. Amazing. Look at it go. I'm very, very proud of myself. Okay. Turret. Turret. Uh oh, no, you know what? Next is commit stuff. Commit frequent and often, including just like whenever you happen to remember it. Soldier is walking back and forth. Flap emoji. Those are required. It won't compile otherwise. Okay. I'll if this were me on my personal time, I would like go look at the GitHub page and just mash refresh until it works, until I could see if the GitHub action was working or not. I'm not gonna do that this time because reasons. Okay, turret. I think it's gonna look. The turret I have in mind is like not these turrets, like this turret. Um, yeah. So if you're not familiar with this thing, like one of the things is it recesses into the roof, into the ceiling, and comes out when it's shooty time. Um, but the aesthetic that I kind of like is these kind of bars on these kind of support columns on either side of it, and then kind of a part out that kind of free rotates. Um, I kind of like this. I like the Gatling aspect of this one. It's like you're not just like no. 5 bullets is not enough. You get 50 just to be sure. And I also think at the scale of the art that I'm going to be doing, I think it'll be more visible. Okay, so it's going to be roughly the same size as the character, um, which is kind of large, but everything, yeah, proportions are hard. Also, it's going to be kind of small anyway. So the soldier is 32 by 32. New 32 by 32. So this is actually going to be two parts. There's going to be the side column and then like the rectangle inside of it. So the side column is going to be very quick and simple, and it's just and they're going to be two files. Not beige. We want some kind of dark gray. Symmetry, please. Um, so it's not perpendicular to the camera, but the character's perpendicular to the camera, and I'm really bad at adding perspective on pixel art, so we're not going to do that. And I'm not going to do that. Okay, I'm having a little bit of trouble visualizing this. Um, Again, this is the like the turret support. This isn't the turret itself. Like this is, you know, going to be everything but the moving part. We can make it more derivative. More derivative. By which I mean an exact bad copy. Okay. This is kind of thick in the middle. Okay. Close enough. Oh man, I get to say like close enough for government work like so many times because this is a government facility. I will overuse it for sure. Okay, so we're gonna call this turret bracket. I don't know what this is called. Um, Turret bracket. It's very small. Perfect. And well, okay. Okay, hold on. What we're gonna do instead is we're gonna call this turret. And I'm gonna add a layer. I wish this stuff was on by default. I always have trouble finding it. Show layers. Layer? New layer? Okay. Like I don't know how to bring up this window except by creating a new layer. So this layer is the bracket, and this layer is the shooting. And that's not what the eraser. So this kind of goes over the top of it. Well, I mean, I don't actually want it to go over the top of it, but that's how it's going to look for the moment. I also don't want this thing here. Okay, remember that part how I said I want there to be multiple barrels? I don't even know if you can tell with this thing. So that's a little unfortunate. But we're gonna create some like what is I guess it's mounted. Okay, I guess that's a thing that they're doing is it's actually mounted like here. And I'm gonna have it well so the pivot is wrong. How do I fix the pivot? No. Okay. Everything's wrong. It's fine. It was just a demonstration. Okay. This is not really... I think this is too chunk to be... Like, people are going to be like, what is this bazooka attached to this thing? So let's make it a little bit tighter. And so this is going to be... No, that was too much. Okay. It's like very gray bacon that it's going to shoot you with. Okay. Also notice again it's pointing right, so that way we can, you know, align it more easily. Okay. Perfect. So the bamboozle here is I'm not going to export all the layers. I'm going to export the bracket as turret bracket. That was weird. And then I'm going to export again. Just show all the things. The gun as turret gun. Okay. Close. And so now, so the way I like to do things is I drag things in my scene and then I like create entities out of them. Kind of the way you're supposed to do this is you just go like new scene, and you create it here instead. Um, and if it just things tend to be like centered around the origin more correctly and stuff like that, um, which is kind of the point for me. Like now you can be like, look, it's going to be a 0, 0, and if I'd done the soldier animation here instead, that would probably work, have solved that other problem. I'm going to create a turret scene, and turret, I think this needs to be a child. Oops, wait, why? You're not actually here. Why are you rendering? Okay. You can say, control. Okay. Um, and I think so. I want to rotate this, but you can see the origin is not right. That's not the way this is supposed to work. Um, so I think there's a couple ways you can do this. One of the more common ways. So one of the things about Godot in Unity, you have objects, and every object can have a bunch of components on it. You can even have the same component multiple times on a single object, I think, which is confusing. Or maybe it's just anyway. So everything's a component. Here, everything's a node. If you want, a different behavior on things, the answer is more nodes. And one thing that you can do is you can have like a node 2D, and then you child the gun to that, and then you move the gun at a offset, and then you rotate. Well, this isn't gonna work, but you can see now it's rotating with a different origin because it's now the parent instead. I don't. That's the last resort for me. I think you can just do this, which if you're working with a sprite is much better. And this. So like the obvious choice would be this. 2? No. 3? 2.5. But you know what? Maybe that looks fine actually. I was thinking like, well, the mount point would be like on not that exact spot, but this is fine. So here we are. It rotates towards our target. Now I get to use a feature I've almost never used before: show behind parent, which means even though it's a child and is normally rendered afterwards, you can now show behind parent. And great, we can get rid of this node, the node 2D example node. You come over here to our game, throw this guy in here. It looks terrible. Great. I think we want all these scales embiggened. Okay, still looks terrible. Great. And you'll notice like there's this little scene. I think some of the way scenes are managed and nested scenes are managed, I think Unity actually copied Godot, which is actually kind of a rarity. But I think the way nested scenes are handled are actually really good and well done. Anyway, I think here I'm trying to figure out how I want to point this the other way. Like what I want is this thing's rotation to be pointing like I want to flip the entire object, and obviously there's a few ways to do that. I could do it in script. There's this notion of like editable children here, and you can just like modify. But I think the problem is that will modify it everywhere because it's not ejected. You're actually modifying the template right here, which is not generally what you want. That said, this is always going to be facing left in this scene, but maybe not in other scenes. I just had an idea. These have this like a white bit on the end. You know what? That can wait. Okay. So let's turn. I don't like editable children. Uh, oh, you know what? Maybe actually. Anyway, it seems like kind of a good smell to me to have to do that. Okay, so this is going to be here, and you know what? Despite what I just said, we do want, like, in this level, this thing is always pointed like here. Um, and the shtick is they step on a button. You put a button in front of them, and then when they stand on it right here, it goes pew pew. Also, this should be animated, so like the stripes alternate, so it looks like it's rotating. That'll be fun. Okay, so this doesn't actually need to rotate, but I do need to have projectiles. Okay, so, I mean, there's all these things that like need to be done. I don't know like what the best order to do them in is, but projectiles are fun, so I'm gonna do that. Man, I'm really spacing out on what they're actually called though. Oh, I was thinking I was gonna use a particles, but I think particles would be like smoke and stuff coming out of the gun, which might be kind of fun. But I think I'm not going to do that. We're going to create a method on the turret here called shoot or fire. Shoot. And we need to say like what it's going to shoot. So we actually need to create like a bullet first. Or I think the thing I was thinking is like there'd be like a bunch of bullets and there'd be like, but if they're all in like in a perfectly straight line, then then I don't really need particles for that. Okay. Maybe I should just leave Sprite open for this. Steam, Sprite. This is going to be even smaller and not very tall. So I'm making the bullet. Oop. Small bullet. And we can just use, is this just straight black? I've heard that you're never supposed to use straight black for things. It's just not very interesting. Yeah, close enough. Okay. Symmetry. Line. Bullet. Ta-da! Okay. See, the nice thing about pixel art is you don't have to, I mean, it's easy to make bad pixel art. I feel like it's harder to make bad. I mean, you can totally do it, but it like anyway, it's decent. And if people say like, why is your art so bad? I can be like, it's a game jam. I made it bad on purpose because I didn't have time to do anything better, even if it would take me an infinite amount of time to do something better. Okay, so we have okay, hold on, new scene, 2D scene, bullet. Okay. Bullets are supposed to be small. I mean, we can try doubling the size. No, I want these linked. Bullet. This is actually going to be. So you never want you usually don't want your sprite to be your root object if you have any other behavior, and you want like they're both going to have physics. Obviously, this position is not right. So okay, that position is fine. This position isn't right. So the goal here is that the bullet's going to come out of the gun, and it's going to have actual physics, and it's going to hit your target. and if it doesn't hit your target, then it doesn't do damage. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna move this slightly forward. Well, okay, that doesn't. I don't know. I just have a better feeling about that. So of course, this is complaining that there's no shape. And once again, like you can do. I sorry, it's so hard at the pixel art. We're gonna do the exact same thing actually. Shape as we did for the character. Capsule and um, I think you can just rotate it. There's a whole. I remember there being a weird thing in Unity where there's like, do you want a horizontal capsule or a vertical capsule? Like what because it's all baked into the rigid body, and here you can be like, well, I want a 45-degree capsule, no big deal. Eh, I'll leave this until I have an actual reason to change it. Okay, physics object done. Eventually, eventually you'll want to change the layers because you don't want like the ground will have one physics layer, the character will have a physics, the soldier will have a layer. Conceivably, the turret would have a layer, and you don't want to like collide with the turret because that'd be silly. Okay, so now we have this bullet. So now we're getting back to our script here because now we want to instantiate this bullet, and the way we can do that is okay. There's a couple ways you can do it. I think you can say like export var bullet packed scene. I have to spell it correctly. And this does a special thing where now when you click on the turret, you now have a thing over here. You have this field corresponding to your export. And export is like the equivalent of serialized field in Unity. And you don't want to say packed scene, you want to select bullet. And it's a little bit, I don't know why I never know why like the screenshot like does it need to be like exactly centered. Okay. All right, there's the bullet. So now when you call shoot, you want to fire uh, bullet instance, bullet.instantiate. So this creates the bullet, obviously, but it doesn't put it in the game world yet. So at some point, we're going to want to say get tree. I think we can just say like get node game. Is there a way to like get tree? Like you can't say like add child here. You need to like okay, fine. Yes, there it is. This is kind of the equivalent way and maybe faster. And this way you can say add child bullet instance. So we're going to, for experimentation purposes, we're going to shoot on game start. Okay, what did I do wrong? Parent is busy setting up children. Okay. It shouldn't be. Oh. Parent node. Okay, so this error isn't that the turret is busy setting up children. This is that the game the game node. Like it's the game node here, which I'm trying to modify, is its children are still being updated. It's still like initializing them. So what it's saying here is like, look, you need to like wait until the end of the frame, which is what call deferred does. Call deferred, i.e. in deferred mode, i.e. at the end of the current frame. This is kind of like an interesting higher order function thing that GDScript has. Like you're calling a method on a method. Okay, let's play that again. So you may have seen it's falling off the left side of the screen and it's not doing at all what we want. Okay, we haven't done anything with it yet. Um, so the first thing we want to do, hmm, can you call? Oh wait, okay. I haven't done this too much in GDScript. Oh wait, end of frame. So bear with me real quick. So the problem is I want to say bullet instance dot by the way, I think I can say as bullet. No? Oh, as rigid body 2D. I'll talk about why in a second. And then you want to set the global position equal to the current global position. So this is setting the global position of the bullet to the same position as the turret. We can eventually have like a spawn point that's in front of the turret instead or something, but this is fine for now. So there's this kind of sneaky little thing because Godot is kind of gradually optionally typed. When you instantiate things, or when you do things, it's not necessarily strictly typed. And the way you can tell is based on the colors of the numbers on the side. So if they're green, green is good. That means it's in like strongly typed mode. And if it's not green, that means maybe it works. We'll see it. We'll see until runtime. And in this case, you can say, look, it could still fail at runtime, but I'm telling you it's a rigid body 2D, which we know from the icon up here, and the fact that we just created it, that it's a rigid body 2D. So now this line is like, okay, well, because the node base class doesn't have a global position, like this is like, this would also have worked if it was a node 2D, which is a superclass of rigid body 2D. You can still see like this still works versus what it knew before. I mean, you lose the color. It doesn't actually error or anything, but this isn't like you can't control click on this. It's not going to work anymore. But if you cast it to what it actually is, then now it's like it's real. So green means like, okay, there's a decent chance of this working. I think this is not going to work though, because the global position requires that it be in the tree first, because it sets up it's actually setting a local position based on the ancestry. Oh, okay, all right, it worked. So I guess we don't actually need to do that. Okay, so it's not quite doing what we want to do yet. Kanban, yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I'm working on projects on my own, I'm like, what is my next goal? And then I actually create like 5 to 10 tickets for myself so that I can complete little tickets and be like, I completed something today. This ticket, this section of this thing, instead of constantly seeing how far away the goal is. So that's a kind of a good way to do little wins. That's to kind of keep me engaged and interested, and kind of good little serotonin boost or something of like, look, you can close it, you're done. For a game jam, it might be kind of nice to know, like, am I on track to finish by the end of the game jam or not, if you split up tasks and stuff. um uh but I that seems like kind of boring content, and I don't know if I actually have time. I think if it was a 2-day sprint, or sorry, a 2-day game jam, I definitely wouldn't do that because you just don't have time for anything. If it's a week, you can kind of take a little bit more leisurely pace, but we'll see. I mean, I kind of have something in line of sight anyway. Okay. So bullet is pointing the wrong way and has not great initial velocity. So the nice thing is, because this turret, the direction this turret is pointing in this view is 0 degrees. Okay, that's just the convention. It's not like up or down or something. So if you look at the game over here, the turret here is pointing, you know, wait, is this rotated? It's, well, okay, that's a little weird. But it's 35 degrees. Is this? No. Okay. Well, in any case, the first thing that we can try is setting the bullet to the same orientation as the gun. So we have our turret here. We're gonna control dragon. Here's our gun, and it's also sprite. Um, so let's just try bullet instance dot rotation. I always like to do global rotation. I don't know if it's less efficient or what, but it's just like you don't have to worry about what the parents of things are. It just kind of magically works. Gun dot global rotation. Also, this is radians because they're both the same. It doesn't matter. Okay. I'm gonna slow down gravity just a little bit, just so it's easier to tell. I think you could say gravity scale 0.2. Okay, so that was funny. I'm gonna do that again. So you can see the bullet is pointing in the same direction as the turret. Great, done. So now we just needed to move in the same direction as the turret. And I think there's a few different ways to do this. The way I like to do this is create a vector pointing to the right. Right. Oh, I guess, can I just say from angle? Okay, okay. Um, well, I mean, these are the same, so it doesn't really matter. But I feel like it's slightly more correct to say like the velocity vector should be in the same direction as the bullet. You know what? I can't make up my mind. From angle, radians. Oh, see this one, the second one. Conceptually, I like doing this one the most. Of vector two dot right rotated angle, because to the right is 0, you can just rotate it. Or I'm not quite mathy enough to remember like it's the cosine sine of these things. Like no, just give me the give me the builder function. Um, so here's the velocity vector, and okay, so it's a unit vector, which is what I was expecting and hoping for, um, which means it has a length of 1. We don't need to, you can normalize it afterwards, but it returns a new vector and there's kind of no point to it. And then we're gonna multiply that. So our bullet velocity is some float value. Can you initialize this? Probably. And then we're going to say we're going to multiply this by bullet velocity, which returns a new vector, but at least it's not returning too many new vectors. I mean, it's one of those things where like if you're doing this every single frame and you're creating vectors every single frame, eventually it might slow down, but shots are like not going to be too often. So now I was hoping that, well, let's see, why is this complaining? Why is this type complaining? Can I say hold on, let's look at the turret again. Well, I mean this it's a no 2D. We don't really care that it's a sprite. Okay, so now the types are happy again. So if you look at the bullet, it has a velocity. And if you set it to like 200 or something, you can see it goes off the end of the screen. But also like negative 300, like it starts out at the horizontal and it like bleeds off. Um, and so the exact angle, like we could kind of hard code something in here, but why bother? Um, so we can just set this velocity field in here. Bullet instance. Sorry, this is what got me on this whole tangent. Bullet instance isn't supposed to be any here. It's supposed to be like, it's a particular type. But I guess maybe it just doesn't have an icon for it or something. Because it knows it's here. Anyway, equals velocity vector. Okay. So, drum roll. Wait for it to not work. Here we go. Okay. It worked. It was just kind of pathetic. I think it does a little bit of garbage collection at the beginning or something, so that's why it's a little bit jittery. Okay. Looks good. It is a very large cannon of a bullet, though. Let's go ahead and shrink this down. I probably shouldn't be mixing like scales. Like all the pixel art should be 2x or not. Um, but you know what? It's a game jam. Okay. I'm gonna do a little more fun thing, and we're gonna do this multiple times. And another thing that Godot does really well is timers. I mean, it's not a big feature, but how do I do this? So you can say get tree to create timer, but this creates kind of like it's kind of an ad hoc timer. You don't like add it to, you don't create a child node from it. It's just kind of exists in script land. I'm trying to create one that I can add as a child. See, here it says to create a one-shot timer without instantiating a node, use create timer. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to create this thing. You can create like a node over here, but this is kind of a one-off, so I'm trying not to do that. This is embarrassing. Timer.new. Okay. Okay, fine. Yes, I'm very good at code. Um okay, so by default you have to start it after you add it. And if it's not, so a one shot means that's what it sounds like. The thing that's kind of interesting is how to instantiate object. I swear I've done this before, really. Um, I mean, in every other language, like, anyway, yes. Um, the thing that's kind of an interesting default here is the one shot is actually false. So if you create a timer, it actually fires continuously. I don't know. That's really how I intuitively expect timers to work. But it is what it is. And we actually, so we want auto start to be true because I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Do you set auto start to true or do you call the start method? It's the same number of lines. But I kind of like this semantics. One shot equals false. Oh wait, that's the default. What else was I thinking about? Wait time. Um, oh, the whole point of this was to fire 3 shots in rapid succession. Like, fire a shot, and then, there might be a better way to do this. So like fire shot, wait a quarter of a second, fire shot, wait a quarter of a second, fire shot. Um, oh, I just had a horrible idea. Okay, we're gonna do my horrible idea. we're going to use an animation player for this because it's a more visual way of doing this. Fire burst. And as long as you don't, as long as like, if you wanted to like sometimes fire 2 shots or 3 shots or 5 shots, this might not be the best for that. But here we can say, you know, you have a call method track. Seems crazy. I actually haven't done this before, so let's see. Yes, I'm full of good ideas today. Godot, callback, animation. What is this called? Callback method track. Then a window opens, lets you select a node associated with the track. To call one of those methods, right-click on the timeline and select Insert Key. All right. Can I zoom in? Ooh. Enhance. Okay, so it's a 1-second animation. We're gonna call shoot. Can I duplicate this? No. Every quarter second. Please, quarter second. Hackerman, use the other terminal. Okay, this one lets me duplicate. But now it's now. Okay, okay, we'll do this the hard way. I'll like right click and do it again. Okay, 0.5. Yeah, so this little thingy over here, this ampersand here, this means it's a string name and not a string. So it's a kind of a random little. It's like a pointer to. I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's a good reason for it. Okay, so now we have our animation player, and we're going to say animation player dot play fireburst. And like the reason for this is like like the other options were either I have a method where it shoots and then like awaits a quarter, like it creates a timer, awaits a quarter second, and then after that timer is done, it continues again and just, you know, does the same thing 3 times. And I would have to have like a shoot burst method. Or I'd have other some, or I'd have like a, you know, like a shoot burst that sets like shots remaining 3, and then it would just kind of recursively call itself, documenting this. I don't know. I couldn't think of a great way to do this. This way is fine if we're trying to, if it's like hard coded to 3. There we go, 3 shots. The only other thing I would like to do that's super not that important is go away. So this is kind of important. There's the callback mode. There's a lot of things in the game that like, do you want to run in the process callback, or do you want to call in the physics process callback? And process calls is like every 20 FPS or 60 FPS or 80 FPS. Like it fluctuates a lot in kind of a vaguely deterministic manner, but not really. Physics process, it's like hard coded. It's some, you know, 60 ticks per frame per second, and so it's pretty constant. And I think if you have too much stuff in your physics, I think the game will visibly slow down. I think it'll grind down a little bit, which is actually good because it's your fixed time step. And there is a delta here, but I think that's more so that, you know, it's kind of convenient. But it's also so like, okay, I want to change this to 57 ticks per second. You have to like rewrite all your code. But process is for visual stuff, and physics process is not just for physics things. That's one of its main purposes. It's also for you know, fundamental game logic, things that you want consistent from run to run. So point being, I actually want this to be on this animation player to be on the physics tick, because it means if your game has like a sudden stutter, like the bullets might have different separation between them. Like the timer might get delayed and your shot won't happen at the right time because something was happening in the background and just we dropped a few frames. So this is more likely to do that. There's also um, do we want to run it deferred or immediate? Um, I think it's fine to wait until like the end of the frame because I mean maybe that contradicts what I just said. Oh, sorry, I'm going all over the place. Um, but if you recall here, we couldn't we couldn't do this. Oh, we don't actually even need this anymore. I think we don't need this because the timer is doing it and we aren't doing it in the ready method. But um, that's fine. Okay. Um, okay. Let's do. Uh, uh, okay, I'm probably gonna wrap this up at 7 because I've been talking for 2 hours and my throat's getting a little bit sore. Um, can I I can't move this guy, right? No. So the problem is if I move this guy, the animation dictates like the absolute positioning of where it starts, which is not good. Um, I think what I'm going to do instead is just kind of for demonstration purposes, like move this turret here. I, I love funny physics. Um, so it just goes blink, 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 and you know it's supposed to do that. It's working. Um, I'm gonna do one last thing and then wrap it up for now. Is when the bullet hits its target, it's going to disappear. Um, like eventually there'll be like a little death animation or something on the other side on the hit target. But for this thing, I'm going to say like, look, when you hit a target, um, you die. Okay. So for bullet, so haven't talked about this yet too much, but there's a whole nice event system in Godot, and it's a little bit hard to find at first. But next to the inspector is node, and there's all these events here, and um, here you can see emitted when a collision with another physics body or time map occurs requires contact monitor set to be true. Blah blah blah. Is contact monitor set to true? Uh, does this have to be on? I mean, I guess so. Um, okay, so we can also have an event on itself. We can, and this is kind of like like you can just say connect, okay, and it's like okay, this is the default mode. And now if you go back and look here, you can see the dot here means the current object. It's like a rel path to the object, and then colon colon, and then on body entered. And so now you can say print bullet hit body. Yeah. Okay. Uh. Okay. I don't. Didn't print anything, so I'm a little suspicious of that. Um. I might need to have contact monitor on both sides. Let's see. Do you need? Okay. There's another way. I mean, you can. So the way you delete things is like queue free. So when this bullet hits something, um, we delete it. Okay. Suffice to say, on body entered is not being executed. All right. Back to the Google. It is true that it's a. Oh, do I really need? Is that really? Ugh. Okay. Hey, okay, it worked. Okay. It's a little bit garbage that you have to like toggle these on, but okay, you need contact monitor on. Um, and it says by default, maximum contacts reported is set to zero, which meaning nothing will be reported. Okay, I mean, I think it just like allocates an array, and that's why this has to have a specific size here. Um, I'm gonna set. This isn't super important given how big the bullets are, but anytime you have like a tiny projectile, you kind of want continuous collision detection. Um, I just as like if the object is smaller than the target, I tend to turn that on. Um, okay. Um, you can also see down here it says bullet hit soldier, and then it disappears. So we know it's working. And the next thing that we're going to do here, I mean, we need to get into like the interface of like a button that they walk onto, and it triggers this thing. So I think that's it for today. I'll try to have this kind of like wrapped up and like pushed online, so people can revel in all of its glory so far. But I'd also just like to have like a viewable snapshot at the end of each day. Um, thanks for tuning in either today um, uh, or next time. I mean, in case you're watching the recording.